10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And welcome, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. We're thankful that you're here with us on this Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. We're getting closer and closer to the election day, even though we had pre-voting during the Easter weekend, the holiday weekend. We're Monday, April the 28th, is the actual election day for the federal election, and I know that it's been talked about on all of our media platforms, locally and abroad, and it's something that is on the minds of everybody that I talk to, and I know that there's a lot of opinions out there, and either you're on one side or another. It seems like it's there's very few fence sitters, but what I like to do is ask people why. So why are you voting the way that you're voting? And I would hope that you are able to articulate the reasons why. I remember, and I've said this time and time again on this show, way back in 2015 at work, I didn't realize I wasn't, all that into politics back then, but I kind of knew I was more conservative, and I didn't realize people were so emotional about politics. I just thought, oh, well, I vote this way or you vote that way, and it's okay. But people at work were mostly liberal or NDP, and that was fine. I find people who are NDP are fine with people who are liberal and vice versa, and it's just a matter of that's what I thought everyone was, no matter what party you voted for. But when I said I think I'm more conservative than that, it was like, what? How could you be conservative? Don't you care about poor people? I was like, well, yeah, no, more than anything, I care about poor people. And I was like, why would you have a response like that? Like, all the conservatives do is cut programs and, and they're like horrible people or something. I was like, oh my goodness, what? I've never seen that. I don't know that to be true. Like, where are you getting this from? So that was my first kind of foray into just being open and discussing politics, first of all. And then later, the election, as things got closer, it'd be like people are really excited for Justin Trudeau at the time because he was a new up and coming person. And again, I was like, I honestly don't understand why are they so excited about Justin Trudeau? Like, what's wrong with the way things are right now? I just wanted to know that. It's almost like liberals would feel now, kind of thing. They're like, even though there's lots of things that have happened in the last 10 years that are bad that even liberals can say, but conservatives in their mind would be worse. That's all they can say, is you just can't have someone like Pierre Poilievre get in. And I'm not saying he's the savior or anything like that either. I'm just saying what somebody who is a liberal could say about someone who's conservative. We just can't have them in, even though the previous 10 years there was a conservative in. And so did the world fall apart? Were all the things they're saying are so dangerous happen the previous 10 years? Because we had 10 years of a conservative government, and now we've just had 10 years of a liberal government. I think this is a really great opportunity for us if we come up with reasons why we're going to vote for, it really comes down to those two. Like, we have millions of parties in Canada, but unfortunately or fortunately, we know that it's really going to come down to either one of those are going to be the ruling party in Parliament. Just because they're the largest parties, and one of them are going to get in. The other ones are just going to be here and there, one-offs, just a few people voting for them. Fortunately or unfortunately, right? It is what it is. But what I'm saying is now we can compare the previous 10 years to the just recent 10 years we went through. It's a very easy thing to do. Like, we should be doing that a lot. I mean, that's what our media even should be doing. It should be saying, okay, during the Harper years, this is the good, bad, and the ugly. A real analysis of it, not a biased one. And then the just most recent 10 years, a real hard analysis of the good, bad, and the ugly. And that's it. And people shouldn't be emotional about it. You should just look at the facts of how things were. And but unfortunately, we're just emotional beings. Like, that's all elections are. People vote with their emotions. It's like their team. It's like, if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, it's similar to the party that you're part of. And even if they lose every season or lose in the first round of the playoffs every year, no matter what, or whatever, it might be different this year, who knows? You're still going to come back the next year, buy the tickets, buy the jersey, cheer them on, no matter what. And that's what politics has turned into, rather than we need to hold whoever it is in office accountable and make sure that no matter what color of jersey they're wearing, it's not your color. You have a different jersey than they have. And they're not your team. No matter what side it is, they're not your team. They are your public servant. They are accountable to you. It's not about rah, someone's going to win and my party's in, and support them no matter what. That's not what it's about. It's about, what are they doing when they're in there for you? Are they benefiting you? Are they making decisions and policies that are going to benefit you? And then, if you want to speak collectively, benefit your community, benefit your area, benefit your country. That's what you want in government. That's what you vote for. You vote for somebody that you think is going to make the best decisions for you. Now, right? We have this new thing with these boomer memes going out with this dude who was at a Mark Carney rally, and he's a boomer, and he's giving the finger, both of them, middle fingers, to whoever has the camera. And so that's been a thing now, and it could actually mean something detrimental to the Liberal Party for the election, because it's somebody who's saying, I've benefited from all of these policies. I've had a great life, even from the last 20 years, let's say. So 20 years ago, they were 50, and now they're 70, right? So they've been through all the Harper years of mostly, I would have to say, sound economics, good growth for their pensions. Everything was good. And then the Liberals, which, hey, everything's still good. Now, it's not good for generations coming up under them. The younger generations are not benefiting from the last 10 years, even though the younger generation put the Liberal Party in power in the first place back in 2015. Because the main reason was Trudeau was going to legalize marijuana, of all things. I asked people back, 10 years ago, why are you voting for Justin Trudeau? Two main answers came up. His hair, or he was cute. I'll put those together. And he's going to legalize marijuana. Now, now look at the last 10 years and ask yourself, what has happened economically in this country? What has happened socially? What has happened to the fabric of our country in the last 10 years? Do you think things have gotten better? Do you think people are more calm with each other, more respectful? People are more united? The economy is as good as it's ever been. Cities are thriving. The housing, people with addictions, how is that going? You should have to look the last 10 years, because the 10 years before were much different, and you can actually compare the two. But you have this meme now of this dude who's giving the middle fingers to the camera. It's pretty much a kind of summary of what's happened recently with this generation, the boomer generation, who've really made off like bandits. They were the generation that could just walk into any place and get a job without a grade 12 education and work at one place for their whole life. Not need schooling, not need to, move 50 million times, career to career to career. I've had 10 different careers and I'm barely over 50. Literally 10 careers. I have a book of business cards of all the jobs I've had my whole life. And there's a disconnect there. The generation basically doesn't understand. The younger generation is saying, why can't you just get a job? Why can't you just, or maybe now they go, well, go to school, because now you need school in order to get a job. So go to school and get a job. There's really a disconnect. And this meme kind of goes along with that. It kind of shows, just in a picture, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, that's what it shows to us. It shows a boomer gentleman wearing a red shirt, so symbolizing liberals, in a lineup to go to a Mark Carney rally, giving a double-handed fingers, two middle fingers up to the camera, saying, screw you, I'm okay, but screw you. So that speaks volumes. Just even, he didn't mean, this particular gentleman, I'm sure, was just saying, F conservatives. I'm positive that's all that was in his mind. Whoever had the camera probably was someone who might have even been instigating at the rally with a camera, the people, and threw up two middle fingers. It's everywhere, this meme, but we're going to have a video about it, and maybe we'll just have it now because, I've started to have a new process here with the show, and I have to kind of now include my Twitter, if I can find it now. Here, it should be close by, and I think I just found it. Good. So we'll get this up, and hopefully the volume doesn't start right away, and it did. So here's a young man talking about this meme, this person who's become a meme, and he's a young person, and he'll describe his own plight with this here, and then we'll get on with the show right after this.
This photo is a work of art. This photo will define this Canadian election. This older gentleman giving the double middle finger at a Mark Carney rally with a big smile on his face is a representation of an entire class of people that does not care that you won't be able to afford a home, that does not care that you won't be able to have and raise kids in this country, that does not care about the fact that their country and culture is being completely destroyed and decimated from underneath them. This is the face of people who laugh and smile at the fact that you're complaining about the state of this country. They don't care. They love it. They know what they're doing. They know they're ruining things, and they love it because they're fine. They don't have to worry about it. And it's not all old people, so don't blame all the boomers. Don't say it's everybody, because it's a very select group of people. But these types of people are the ones that want to screw over your future. So are you going to let that happen, or are we going to outvote people like this? Because we cannot have this continue on. This photo is a work of art. So
again, this is coming from a young person, and that's the way he's feeling about this. And I know there's a lot more to this particular meme, and I know that's what a lot of you guys were saying yesterday on the show, and I guess I was kind of out of touch with it already. People were talking about, bringing a black pen to vote. You were talking about the Pope passing away. You were talking about this person putting up his two middle fingers. Lots happened over the weekend, and I was kind of out of, newsland. I didn't even look at the news all weekend, but so much has happened over the weekend, right? And this was one of the things that kind of went viral over the weekend. So I got caught up yesterday. Now I'm all caught up on what's going on. So I appreciate all you guys and your efforts to fill me in, because this is your show on your station. And that is CKLU 96.7 FM. And we're also streaming live at cklu.ca. Click on the Radio Player Canada app. You can stream us. If you click it and download it, you can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. This is your conversation on your station. It's a chance to share your views on the news. So we're live streaming on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow. But also comment. We'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen for those watching, read for those listening. And the show can be found on demand also on those, not only on those two platforms, but also on x.com/Sudbury News, which I just shared that video from. I'm going to start posting more of the content that I'll be sharing on the show on Twitter, and using it as a way, like I used to use Facebook before. It's no longer allowed to share news on Facebook. The only country in the world that's the case, where we're able to use Facebook, but we're not allowed to share news. So whatever that means, that just happened with this last government. One of the many things, the many changes that have happened in this most recent 10 years compared to the 10 years before. And there's a lot more, as many of you know, that hopefully we'll have a chance to kind of unpack over the next little while before the election. So that way, if you're on the fence, you're not wondering, or you're not sure of who to vote for, we're going to do our best to just kind of let you know what things have happened, which you may not have heard of through the mainstream media. And that's because the mainstream media has received so many subsidies from the federal government that they're kind of gagged in a way to really hold this government accountable, because that's something that's happened in the last 10 years too, that the funding for journalism comes from the government mainly, right? Because journalism was facing a crisis because of social media, and they were losing advertising. So the government stepped in and said, we'll pay you tax money. And then now the media can't really hold the government accountable because they're being paid from them. It's almost like all the media outlets are the CBC. So that's something that's changing. We hope to, hopefully over the next 4 days, talk a little bit more about that, and just kind of just make an informed decision. We don't even want to skew you to making one decision or another on how you're going to vote. Just make sure you know why you're voting. Just that alone. And I think once you get your head around that, then you're more than likely going to vote a certain way. If you just realize what's been going on the last 10 years to the quality of your life, and to, maybe even why some of those decisions were made, and so on and so forth. So we'll dive in with a little bit of weather right now. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll be back with news headlines and more right after this. And as usual, weather brought to you by Voyageur Tire. They can be found at the intersection of Falconbridge Road, the Kingsway, and 2nd Avenue. Let them know we sent you. You'll get a 10% discount. Currently, it's 1 degree Celsius. Today, it's going to be cloudy with a 40% chance of showers or drizzle. High of 8 degrees. And then overnight, it's going to be cloudy and then clearing after midnight. Sunny tomorrow, high of 13. And there you go. High of 13, sunny on Wednesday. But then 3 days of 60% chance of showers. High of 12, 14 degrees for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 60% chance of showers for those 3 days. High of 12 for Thursday and Friday. Saturday, high of 14, high of 16 on Sunday. Mix of sun and cloud, high of 15 on Monday. So double digits all the week through, all the next 5 days. 6 days, double digits in the, to the positive. So warming up, cloudy currently, as you see, but some of that clearing coming in from the west for tomorrow to be sunny. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by Voyager Tire. Visit them online at voyagertire.com, or just walk right in and let them know we sent you and get a 10% discount. We'll be back with news, headlines, and more right after this. Okay, thanks for sticking around, everybody. We got Northern Hillbilly here. Good morning to you. And in 2015, they hit the New World Order switch. Well, again, lots of stuff going on globally, and I was more referring to what was going on in Canada, but yeah, lots of stuff going on with this new economy, New World Order, globalism. It's huge. Denise says people were doing door-to-door. The majority of the people are all blue, but when you look at the voting stats, they have been the Liberals winning. What do you think is going to happen? I'm not sure. I really don't know. And yes, it's hard to say because of all of the factors, right, that we know. Jerome, good morning from Val Karen, muscle emoji and a Canada emoji. Marianne says Trudeau spent and printed more money with all PMs combined. Yes, that's true. So our debt, our federal debt, was like 600 million, something like that. Now it's 1.2 trillion. So he doubled the debt that it took all the prime ministers from the beginning of time to accumulate. And then he himself doubled it. And Mark Carney wants to come out and even make it even worse. Like, he's not talking about balancing any budget. He's talking about spending more money and borrowing. That's how you spend money. You got to borrow it because we don't make enough to spend. Apparently, they can't really spend the money that's coming in, even though we pay, I think once you calculate everything, about 65% of our income goes to taxes, even though they tax their citizens 65% at the end of the day when you add it all up. They still can't afford to run the country somehow, and they need to borrow hundreds of millions of dollars more just to run things. So obviously not the greatest money managers, even though this guy says he's a banker. He's been advising Justin Trudeau on a lot of his economic policies that have driven up inflation, prices at the pumps, prices at the grocery store. Wages haven't really gone up, right? So inflation is rising faster than people can make money, so that's not good. And they're just spending the living daylights out of your money, and now you're accountable to it. You have to pay that money back with interest. So when they're making all these promises and saying they're not going to balance the budget, they're going to spend more, it means there's going to be more that you're on the hook for. That's an informed thing. That's just understanding economics 101. And are you going to vote for that? So that's one thing, right? Are you going to vote for spending more of your money and borrowing more money to be able to pay back with high interest rates? So Denise says, I don't trust any of them. I just voted blue to keep it blue. Other than that, it's the same bird. Two wings of the same bird, right? Right wing, left wing. I went to Espanola. This is Denise as well. It was red from the bridge all the way through to the mall. They won't put them on their lawns. So yeah, so nobody's putting them on their lawns. So they're just using public property to put the Liberal signs in Espanola. Now, I'm not sure how it is in your community, but that's the way that it is here. They've provincially voted in Conservative during the last provincial election, and it's more than likely going to happen in that area as well. Pat, good morning, y'all. Peace sign, smiley emoji. Good morning, hand clap emoji from Liette. I'm stuck in the middle of the sheep. Yeah, if you're speaking of people who are voting. Again, Make an informed decision. Like, really inform yourself of what's going on. Just listening to CBC is not a way to inform yourself because they're paid by the government. So you're sure, watch the CBC, listen to it. I'm not saying don't, but then go out and get, I don't want to say real information, but I will say real information. Get all the information. They're not going to give you all the information, right? They just aren't, because I do this every day and I don't see them talking about all the information. They just give a little bit of information and they give it their way. And it's very one-sided. They are biased according to people that study that, and they have websites that show which news organizations are biased. That's what they do for a living. And CBC is far left-leaning. I don't care what they say. If they try and come out and say, no, they're very unbiased. According to an unbiased news analysis, they are very left-leaning. It just is what it is. So admit it. It's fine. We all know it. You know, you might as well just admit it. It's fine. It is. Just say it. We're left-leaning, and what we're telling you right now has a left spin to it. And I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. Everyone knows Fox News in the United States is right-leaning. I watch it knowing that. So I know they're right-leaning. I know they just say everything with a right-leaning spin, but at least I know it. And at least I see the other side, which is good. But then even that, you can't just take that. You can then have to do more research to find out the real story. Belinda, voting for the same party that destroyed this country beyond recognition is dumbfounding to me. Well, people vote for different reasons, right? We talked about some of them. You feel like you're part of a team. It's emotional. Your parents voted for that party their whole life. You're going to vote for the same party. Everything other than being informed for yourself, to me, it's just not the right way to vote. If you're not really doing the research to understand the party's platforms, what's happened now that you can compare the two, right? Let's compare the 2008 to 2015 or whatever, 2005 to 2015, whatever that time was, 10 years of conservatives, and then 2015 to 2025, 10 years of liberal. You can do that. You can then just go out and just do that before you vote. And you ask yourself, which one worked better for you and the country? Which kind of party that was in long enough to make changes, to do things that affected the country, right? 10 years is long enough to of a sample size for a government to give us an idea. That's all you got to do. Just compare it. Just start with that, comparing it. Marianne says, since the election was called, I haven't seen many red signs out on the highways going to Barrie. They're popping up, LOL, putting them everywhere they can. So again, that idea that the liberal signs are on kind of public property. If they're paying for the billboards, they're on billboards, they're on ads. I can see Mark Sette for the new riding, the new Nickel Belt riding, Sudbury East Manitoulin Nickel Belt riding. He's out there. He's in the media. He's advertising. He's on billboards. Again, he's got a huge budget to be able to do that as well. And let's face it, sometimes people vote just based on how many signs they see out there. They go with the majority. So that's another reason people vote. They go with whatever they think the majority is going to do, and they just become part of that. So that way, around the water cooler at work, they can just fit in with everyone. So that's another. Peer pressure is another reason people vote, rather than just being informed and voting for, making an educated vote and voting for what's going to be better for them based on what they found out, based on facts, right? And if I'm off on if you don't agree with my reasoning here, you just comment, say, no, you should vote. If your parents voted for the same party your whole life, you should just vote for that party. You shouldn't have any other reason to vote other than whoever has the most signs. Or you should vote for whoever has the nicest hair. You know what I mean? Or is the son of a previous prime minister. You got to vote for those reasons. If you feel that, just put them in the comments, because I know people do. Just come out and admit it and say it. It's fine. It might feel liberating. Leonard, good morning to you. Good folks. Hand clap emoji, smiley emoji. Nancy, good morning to you. Try to tell your kids drugs are bad when they're legal. Yeah, exactly. How many cannabis shops do you see around? There's more than Tim Hortons now. More cannabis than Tim Hortons, and we know cannabis. Different people feel differently about it. My personal belief is that I was made a certain way, and I wasn't made broken, so it doesn't need fixing. And sure, there's medicinal uses for it, but the stuff you're getting in these pot shops aren't the same kind of product that you were getting back in the day that was really good medicinally. It's been altered. It's genetically modified. There's more THC in the product that you're getting from these outlets, which has a harmful side to it. Actually, it can cause schizophrenia. I'm not saying pot causes schizophrenia. I'm saying pot with too much THC in it can do that, right? So, anyways, it's a thing, and I don't know if it's good for our society. I just don't. I don't think criminalizing it either and throwing people in jail for 30 years because they had some pot on them is right either. I think the answer was somewhere in between, but we have to go to extremes, I guess. Exactly. Same people that created the mess with a different leader with far worse, more intentions. Okay, so that's Mark Carney coming in, who was behind the scenes pulling the strings anyways on Justin Trudeau. Now is the leader. So if they were upset with Justin Trudeau and what was going on, it's the same party with the same cabinet. So that's, again, do your research. He has the same cabinet. A cabinet are the close people that have higher positions in government. They are over things like immigration or the justice system, the economy, things like that. They have specialized things that they're over in government, and they're part of what's called the cabinet. They have more responsibilities. They're like the inner circle of the party. So Carney basically took Justin Trudeau's cabinet. Reason being, Carney is from the WEF, which is the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab came out and saying he penetrated most of Trudeau's cabinet, and so obviously Mark Carney isn't going to go out and take a chance on people who aren't WEF supporters, who are installed in there or are compromised by the WEF. This is coming from Klaus Schwab. If you don't believe me, I'm not making things up. You go find that information out because it's readily available. Klaus Schwab, just punch in Klaus Schwab says he's penetrated Trudeau's cabinet into Google. Even though Google doesn't like you finding that stuff out, you'll still find it, which is really cool, right? So this is a global organization, unelected officials trying to influence nations, saying that they've penetrated a cabinet of people that people voted for. They're supposed to be representing the people, but now they're representing globalist interests. That's not right. We know that Canada's had much interference, international interference. That is a fact. That should be part of your research on what party you vote for. Who has allowed it? Who is being influenced? You have to take that into account. That's part of your education for making an educated decision when you go to the polls. Some of the biggest crimes were committed with Trudeau and his party. That's Belinda. Vin says, who owns the patents for the hybrid marijuana that is no longer illegal to patent? There you go. Can't patent nature. Good point on that, Vin. Leonard says the Liberals have destroyed the country and have left us adrift and estranged from each other because of division. So, again, do you agree? Are we more united these days, or are we more divided? And who's responsible for that? That is so true that the boomers have benefited from Harper administration. Yeah, Yeah, they've benefited from every administration. The boomers have benefited, period, in life. They've had, if you look back in history, they've had the best life out of anybody who's lived in history, anytime, anywhere, hands down. And it's okay to just admit that. You know, like my parents' generation, they benefited. Like this world was for them. And they have the power to actually make it better for the people coming after them. They really do. They have that power. They don't realize it. You know, they're not too worried about, you know, the next generation. They might say it, but you know, the actions to me don't really show it. And good morning, Larry. Thanks for being on. Most boomers are brainwashed and stuck on liberal. That's Larry. So Marianne says younger people, the ones that have graduated from college or university, understand that their hopes of buying a home and affording groceries is becoming increasingly difficult. If not, I'll add impossible to that. It is impossible. Look how many are living in their parents' place, and they have no self-esteem because of that. It's not their fault even. So the boomer just leaves home as a teenager, gets a job at Valet, formerly Inco, or Algoma Steel in Sault Ste. Marie. I'm just using some local places that people would work in the area. They get a job with no education, paying really well. They're able to go out and buy a house right away. My dad went out and bought a house. He had no education. He had a grade 8 education. He just went into Algoma Steel. They were looking for people, got hired the same day. His family worked there. His uncle got him in. Worked there ever since, retired from Algoma Steel. And throughout my life, I've had to come to him and say, Dad, I'm really struggling here. I need some help. Why can't you just do this? Why can't you? Look what I did. You know, they have everything, no problem, and then not realizing the plight of the younger generations coming up, that it's not like that for them. I had to go through 7 years of schooling, basically to still not have a steady, you know. Well, actually, I did. I just got a steady job when I was 50 years old. That is a career. So I started my career at 50. I tried other things. I had many careers. Like I said, over 10. I've had 3 large businesses that I've started, some successful, some not. Over time, just things change. Life of an entrepreneur for the first part of my life. And afterwards, that's just too volatile. And in Canada, it's really way hard to run a business because the government is not your friend when it comes to running a business at all. They're there with their hands out. They want the taxes. They want you to pay your chunk of flesh, but they're not there to support you. They're only there to support certain ones that fit the bill, and then they'll give you hundreds of thousands of dollars, or your competitors hundreds of thousands of dollars because they filled out a form right. They filled out the grant application. So if you're really good at grant applications and you're a minority, or you fit their bill of who they're going to invest in, then it's okay. Then, you know, but if you're just a whippersnapper, you got a great idea, you want to get out and work hard, it's extremely hard to do that in this country. So here I am, that kind of life, way different than a boomer's life. I understand that more. I understand the plight of young people. So now you got this person sitting there with no self-esteem in their parents' basement. You know, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? That's what they're thinking. Well, you didn't do anything wrong. Look how easy it was for the people that have the house that you're living in compared to you. Really, honestly, look how easy that was. And now they got pensions, they got investments, they got equity in their home. They got all these things that should be available to all Canadians, but it's not. And you're sitting there with low self-esteem, going to see a psychiatrist, and you're on some kind of depression drug because you just can't have a normal life. And you're sitting there going, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. it's the way our society has gone economically over the last 20, 30 years. No fault of your own. No. It's harder and harder and harder just to live, a normal standard of living that many other people have enjoyed, right? So with that, I got the latest moose on the loose, it looks like, for everyone. I wanted to get his take on the debates, and then I found this latest one here. You may have seen this. And I wanted to show how different people are coming in and weighing in. Oh, disabled Kane here. I didn't get you. I just want to get you. Good morning to you. Why would they come to save you when they are the ones out to get you? So that would be the government that you're referring to, right? Exactly. Okay, so Moose on the Loose. We'll kind of end with that, and we'll be back right after David.
We will cut bureaucracy, foreign aid, handouts to corporate insiders, special interest groups, and consultants.
Just another day closer to the election. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got the woke Carney crowd at one of his rallies, completely unhinged. One of the guys is going viral now, and the younger generation is blasting this guy. He's becoming a meme on the internet. We also got the Liberals admitting that Mark Carney's platform was created before Carney took over, had really nothing to do with Mark Carney. It was basically Trudeau's platform. We also got Gordon Campbell ripping Mark Carney, a new one on the CBC. Let's jump into this. So first up, I want to start this one off on Wikipedia on the polling page here so we can see something interesting going on here. We're seeing the Conservatives going back and taking over the top spot here. Let's see how this rolls out in the next couple of days. We shouldn't be surprised as we've been seeing the polls come out. So this one has been updated from my last video. I showed you it was 42% for the Conservatives and 38% for the Liberals. Now they've updated to 43.2 and 39.1. So it seems Main Street is doing polls every single day now. And look at this, the Bloc back up to 6.4%. So Blanchette getting support after the leaders' debate, probably siphoning that directly off of the Liberals. And also Jagmeet, maybe since he blasted Carney on the tax havens thing, he's getting some support back. People in the comments here mentioning this Yahoo poll. Let's just look at it again. With this Yahoo poll being live, it just keeps getting more votes. Which political party's values do you identify with most? Conservative Party 70%, Liberals 22%. And look at this one here. Who do you want to see lead Canada's next prime minister? 64% Pierre Poilievre, 33% Mark Carney. So this gap here has continued to increase for Pierre Poilievre on this Yahoo poll. Moving ahead, we've got this one here. It says Carney's election platform increases spending, budgetary balance projections. We've got Trudeau in black, parliamentary budget officer estimate in pink, and Mark Carney platform. Yeah, this does not bode well for Canada. He's going to decimate our country. But don't worry, Brookfield will get rich off this. I'm sure that'll happen. Funny too, this coming from Bloomberg. Mark Carney sat on the board there. Clearly not enough pull to not have this article come up. And the budget will balance itself. Just get Trudeau back in as an economic advisor. I'm sure his advice will save Canada. Next up, we got Mark Carney here, rally in Peterborough. This one here, I believe the capacity of the building is 250 people. So a far cry from 5,000 like Pierre's been pulling. And here's another shot. A lot of gray hair in these lines. The one thing I just want these people to do is just get off of CBC and just look around at other news sources. That's what we need right now. So we got Right Blend here at this Mark Carney rally. There's a lot of conflict here.
Name it. One criteria. I like the way he's plagiarized the RCAF rondelle. Again, nothing original from the
Hey man, take up my nostril.
Here,
let me.
Get out of my face.
No,
Get out of my face,
man.
Yes, you are.
What is wrong with this guy?
Get out of my space.
So this guy keeps basically threatening him. The cops obviously don't help him out.
My name's Kate. I can tell you why you shouldn't vote for Pierre Poilievre. He's a liar, thief. Are you casting it?
Mark Carney is the one who's been caught lying over a dozen times now. There's a lot of sheep in this country. It is alarming how uneducated so many people are. So with that, we're getting this guy going viral now. It's not a good look. The face you make when you're screwing over another generation. As you can see, this guy, he's being memed all over the place. He's becoming the face of the woke CBC watchers. What is this? Look at this. To the point now where he's becoming famous on TikTok. You have the younger generation making videos about this guy.
This photo is a work of art. This photo will define this Canadian election. This older gentleman giving the double middle finger at a Mark Carney rally with a big smile on his face is a representation of an entire class of people that does not care that you won't be able to afford a home, that does not care that you won't be able to have and raise kids in this country, that does not care about the fact that their country and culture is being completely destroyed and decimated from underneath them. This is the face of people who laugh and smile at the fact that you're complaining about the state of this country. They don't care. They love it. They know what they're doing. They know they're ruining things, and they love it because they're fine. They don't have to worry about it. And you know, it's not all old people, so don't blame all the boomers. Don't say it's everybody, because
Yeah, definitely not. These are the woke CBC watchers. I don't know if he actually knows how bad Mark Carney is. A lot of people just don't want to research things. They just like to make up things in their mind, like banker equals good, so I'll vote for banker. So hard to know what this guy's really thinking.
Because it's a very select group of people. But these types of people are the ones that want to screw over your future. So are you going to let that happen, or are we going to outvote people like this? Because we cannot have this continuing on.
The young crowd is rising up. What will happen with our election? Need a better word than cringe. I believe in equity, my home equity. So next up, we got a clip here on CBC. This one post by Steven says, holy moly, it's been confirmed Mark Carney is running on Justin Trudeau's platform.
You know, the Liberal platform, frankly, that's something I will say that has been ready for several weeks now. Mona Fortier was the one who was working on this, and it was ready before Mark Carney even became Liberal leader. So, you know, he only had to tweak a couple of things. You know,
okay. I mean, are we surprised by this? No. Mark Carney just parachuted in, takes the reins. There's people behind the scenes there pulling all the strings. Pierre needs to run an ad ASAP. Wow. That is pretty scathing considering Mark Carney is the one saying he's different than Justin Trudeau. He's got his own thing when really it's not his own thing. So much for Carney being changed. Oh well. Next up here, we've got this story coming from the food bank. The amount of people going to the food bank has absolutely exploded in recent times.
This location used to send out 60,000 or so, or feed 60,000 client visits every single month. That number last month was 330,000. The numbers are startling, but you know, that's hard to put in context. The thing that drives me nuts is we will work with individuals who, you know, have full-time employment. They've got an apartment, maybe they have a child, and they still have to come to a food bank despite working and doing everything right.
And yet the Liberal woke CBC watchers want to have more of this in Canada. They're fine. They're rich. They don't care. They'll vote for Mark Carney. Why? We don't know why. But this is a really sad state. I mean, exactly. This guy's memed all over the place. So jumping ahead here, I've got a clip that I recorded off of my screen off of CBC because a lot of that stuff just disappears under the rug. Doesn't end up online. This is an interview with Rosemary Barton and former Liberal Premier Gordon Campbell, who absolutely blasts Mark Carney.
Yeah, so you wrote an op-ed, and that's obviously why I got you here, because I thought it was very interesting. You wrote in it that people should forget Trump and vote for Canada. Why are you telling Canadians to think about this election differently?
Because I think when we're only talking about Donald Trump, we're talking about fear. It seems to me that Canada has all the tools we need to build the kind of future that we want. And we should remember how strong we are, that we can be independent. I think, unfortunately, over the last 10 years, we've been weakened. We're not as resilient as we were. We're more dependent on the United States now than we were when the Federal Liberal Party was elected. Okay. And it's time for us to recognize this is an important decision for us. It's an important decision for the next generation of Canadians. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is it feels to me like the next generation has been left behind. They're forgotten. My grandkids have been forgotten. We're watching as deficits are building up. So I think it's important for us to remember Canada. We have all the resources we need, but we have to liberate them. We have to put them to use. We can't play the uncertainty game. People have to know that Canada's here to get things done, and we can do them. Canadians should remember how strong Canada is as a country. We don't have to be, moved around by Donald Trump's whims. We have to, commit to ourselves and where we can go as a country.
One of the things that you also bring up is pipelines, which obviously has been part of the election campaign, promises on all sides to develop them. You write that building pipelines is pragmatic, not to build them is wrong. both Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney have said they're ready to build more pipelines. But I understand people may have different views about who's going to actually get it done. But do you think that pipelines should be a central focus of the ballot box?
Did you hear? I had to interrupt there. Mark Carney with Bill, is it C-63? He says he's not going to build a pipeline from one side of the country to the other. He can't. And his own views are to keep oil in the ground. Did you hear? That's a journalist. That is a journalist who covers Ottawa every single day. And she says it doesn't matter what people have different views. So that was a no by a journalist who should be reprimanded for that statement. But anyways, I'll let him answer the question.
Question, at least maybe for Western Canada, or give me your views on why you think that's such an important issue.
I think it's a really good question because I think it's for all of Canada, not just for Western Canada.
Right.
You know, it's like going into an international hockey game and saying, we're going to leave Connor McDavid and Mitch Marner and Nate McKinnon on the sidelines because we don't really need all of our tools. We need to use the best of what we've got. We have exceptional energy resources. The Liberals stopped the Northern Gateway pipeline. That was wrong. And it was done after a process. So the uncertainty that has been created, and Mr. Carney continues this uncertainty. He says one thing in British Columbia, another thing in Quebec. We're told there's a national emergency. Then we're told, well, maybe not so much when it comes to pipelines. We need to have those pipelines to build the economic future for this country. We need them to build the kind of opportunities and the foundation for hope for young people, not just pipelines, all of our natural resources, our mineral resources, our energy resources, our agricultural resources.
Yeah. You of course know, though, that the Liberal government was the government that bought a pipeline.
I didn't think Rosemary would let that one slip by without pointing that out. But as we see here, look how many projects were canceled by the Liberals. All these ones here in northwestern British Columbia, you got ones in Alberta, Energy East, Northern Gateway, Quebec, New Brunswick. I mean, look at these numbers: 10 billion, 25, 28, 11, 11, 18, 20, 2, 2, 2, 3 billion, 16 billion, 4 billion, 15 billion dollars, 8 billion dollars. This would have brought so many jobs to Canada. Rosemary, though, arguing the one pipeline that got finished way over budget.
Yeah, I know they were the government that bought a pipeline, and I know they're also a government that stopped a pipeline after it had gone through all the process and was ready for approval. Right. So when we're told that, you know, we're worried about our economy, I can tell you one of the things that undermines every economy is the uncertainty.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't say one thing in one part of the country and another thing in another part of the country. You have to be clear. If this is a national emergency, we are going to build pipelines. They're going to reach the Asian markets. They're going to reach the European markets. It makes no sense for us to bring, you know, outside energy into Canada when we are so rich in energy resources as we are. So I think that's a really important issue for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for all Canadians. Canadians can't even get, Ontario, Quebec can't get their energy right now without it going through the United States.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
You don't, in your op-ed, Mr. Campbell, endorse Pierre Poilievre. You don't mention him at all, actually. But I would imagine that is your choice, is it? Why did you not mention him in your op-ed, or are you still thinking about where your support should go?
No, I'm not thinking about where my support should go. I think we should hold governments to account.
Yeah.
The Liberal decade was a dismal decade for Canada. Their immigration policies hurt every one of our cities. They made our housing problem worse. They made our healthcare problem worse. They made our educational problems worse. We have to hold governments to account. One person does not a government make. You know, I wouldn't count on the federal government delivering and executing a program anytime as long as it's the same group that's been there the last 10 years. They've been incompetent, and they've led us down the wrong road.
Gordon Campbell's going off on here. I think Rosemary was hoping that he wouldn't say he was endorsing Pierre Poilievre. Yeah, that's not the case.
I'm not saying they weren't well-intended. Yeah. They just didn't do the job. They have to do the job, not just for me and my generation. We've been taken care of pretty well. But I'll tell you, my grandkids deserve to have a government that's thinking about them, not thinking about debt, not thinking about expediently taking care of this group or that group. How are we building the future for Canada? That's what I'm voting for, and I think that Mr. Poilievre has the platform that will get us there.
Former BC.
Now, I'm really glad. I got to cut it off there, but I'm really glad. So, former premier who was Liberal, premier of BC, saying he's going to be supporting whoever's going to be building a pipeline, and that's really the only party that's going to do that is the Conservatives. And so, I'm really glad I had that on with Moose on the Loose. CBC actually took this down off their website. Gates, one of our listeners, watchers, sent me the video and I couldn't get it. So CBC took it off their website. They won't even have this on their website. So all the people out there who say, oh, CBC is totally unbiased, whatever, why do they take certain interviews down and leave certain ones up? Just ask yourself that. I don't know. I'm not the one doing it. I'm asking the question of why they would do something like that, right? Start realizing what's really going on if you think they're unbiased. It's time for a change. And so that's all the time we have as well for the show. Really appreciate all you guys being on. We'll be back same time, same place on the same platforms, God willing, tomorrow. Remember to stay aware, like, share, take care. And stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Have a great Tuesday, everyone. Ciao for now.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.